All right, let's get into it. Today, we're not just talking about money. We're going to talk about the Japanese yen. But think of it less like a currency and more like a character in this massive global economic drama. A character that is just full of contradictions.
And boom, right out of the gate, we hit the central mystery. Japan's been dealing with a stagnant economy for decades, and its public debt is, well, it's mind-bogglingly huge. So why is it that whenever the global economy starts to freak out, investors literally run to the yen for safety? That's the paradox we're going to unravel today.
Just to give you a sense of what we're talking about, there it is, 239%. That's Japan's government debt compared to its entire economic output. I mean, that is the highest in the entire world. Just keep that number in the back of your head because it makes the whole story of the yen that much wilder.
All right, so to really get the yen today, we've got to rewind the clock. We're going all the way back to its birth in the 19th century, during a time when Japan was in a full-blown sprint to catch up with the Western world.
You have to imagine, before the yen existed, Japan's economy was just a total mess. You had all these different feudal lords printing their own money. So in 1871, as part of this giant national makeover called the Meiji Restoration, the government created the yen. The goal was simple: one country, one modern economy, and one single currency to hold it all together.
And what's really fascinating, if you look at these first banknotes, is the design. They were actually printed overseas, in places like Germany and the US, and they were made to look a lot like American greenbacks. Japan wasn't just importing technology, it was importing the very look and feel of Western financial power. It was a statement.
But, this whole transition, it was anything but smooth. At first, they tried to copy the American system, letting over 150 different banks print their own cash. The result? Total chaos. Way too much money got printed, the economy got shaky, so they had to pivot. They looked to Europe for a new model. And in 1882, they created the Bank of Japan, one central bank to finally get the money supply under control.
So the next big step for any serious currency back then was joining the gold standard. This was like the ultimate seal of approval. It meant every single yen in circulation was backed by a real, physical amount of gold sitting in a government vault. It gave the currency instant international credibility. Now, the big question is, where did Japan get the money to buy all that gold? And the answer, well, it's as much about war as it is about economics. After Japan won the First Sino-Japanese War, China was forced to pay a massive indemnity. That money went directly into buying the gold reserves Japan needed to back the yen and cement its spot in the global financial system.
Okay, now we're jumping into the 20th century, and this is where the yen story takes a really dark turn. It becomes a tool of war, then it collapses completely, and then, somehow, it manages a miraculous rebirth.
As Japan's empire expanded, a special kind of money called the military yen was created. Now, this wasn't just cash for soldiers to spend. No, this was a powerful instrument of occupation. It was forced on local populations everywhere from China to French Indochina, basically making them pay for their own occupation.
After World War II, Japan's economy was in ruins, and the country was hit with this just catastrophic hyperinflation. The yen's value completely cratered. Look at those numbers against the US dollar. It went from 15 to 1 to 50, all the way to 250. It was pure chaos. Finally, in 1949, the US occupation forces had to step in and fix the rate at 360 yen to 1 US dollar. And that single decision set the stage for everything that came next.
So that fixed rate, 360 yen to the dollar, that became the launchpad for one of the most incredible economic comebacks in history, which was then followed by one of the longest, most stubborn periods of economic stagnation. A real roller coaster.
Think about it. With a currency that was stable and, let's be honest, pretty undervalued, Japanese stuff became incredibly cheap for the rest of the world. This is what fueled the so-called economic miracle. Companies like Toyota and Sony basically took over global markets, and the yen became a powerful symbol of Japan's economic dominance.
But then, the party came to a screeching halt. A gigantic bubble in the stock market and in real estate burst in the most spectacular way possible in the early 90s. This kicked off a long, painful era of economic stagnation in something called deflation, where prices actually fall. That's now known as the lost decades.
And all of that brings us to the, well, kind of bizarre economic world of modern Japan. To try and fight this stagnation, the Bank of Japan has kept interest rates at basically zero for decades now. The government has pumped trillions into the economy with huge spending programs and really radical policies, like Abenomics. And still, the economy barely grows. And the debt, well, you saw that 239% number.
Okay, so after all that, we are right back where we started. With this crazy economic picture, how on earth is the yen considered a safe place to put your money? Let's finally solve this thing.
First off, let's just make sure we're on the same page about what a safe haven even is. Think of it like a financial bomb shelter. When the markets are going crazy and everyone's panicking, a safe haven asset is where you park your money because you trust it's going to hold its value or even go up.
Now, to get the yen, you have to understand something called the carry trade. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Because Japan's interest rates are practically zero, huge investors can borrow billions of yen for almost nothing. Then, they immediately sell that yen and use it to buy currencies from countries with higher interest rates, like the US. They just sit back and collect the difference in interest. It's a massive, global, multi-trillion-dollar strategy.
Okay, so here it is, the three-part answer to the great yen paradox. First, Japan is the world's biggest creditor nation. That means its people and its companies own way more in foreign countries than the rest of the world owns in Japan. Second, remember that terrifying 239% debt? Well, over 90% of it is owned by Japanese citizens and institutions, like the Bank of Japan. It's basically money the country owes to itself, so there's almost no risk of foreign creditors panicking and pulling their money out. And third, and this is the killer final piece of the puzzle, when a big global crisis hits, all those risky carry trades I mentioned, they blow up. Investors dump their risky assets and rush to buy back all the yen they borrowed to pay off their loans. And that massive, sudden wave of buying is what causes the yen's value to spike, right when everything else is falling apart. That's the paradox.
All right, let's pull this whole story out of the clouds of global finance and bring it right down to earth, right down to the money that you could actually hold in your hand. In 2024, Japan rolled out some brand new banknotes, and the people they chose to put on them tell you a lot about the country's identity today.
On the new 10,000 yen note, the biggest one, we have Shibusawa Eiichi. This guy was a giant of the Meiji era. They call him the father of Japanese capitalism because he founded hundreds of companies that literally became the foundation of Japan's modern economy.
The 5,000 yen note now has Tsuda Umeko. Her story is incredible. She was sent to the United States for an education when she was only 6 years old. She came back to Japan and became a trailblazer, fighting for women's education and challenging all kinds of traditional norms.
And on the 1,000 yen note, we've got Kitasato Shibasaburo, a brilliant scientist, a bacteriologist who helped develop cures for diseases like tetanus. And on the back of his note, you'll find maybe the most famous piece of Japanese art ever, Hokusai's Great Wave. It's this perfect marriage of Japanese scientific genius and its timeless cultural power.
The guy on the old 10,000 yen note, Fukuzawa Yukichi, once wrote something very famous. He said, "Heaven does not create one person above another." It's a beautiful, powerful statement about human equality. But when you look at the strange, paradoxical, and uniquely powerful role the yen plays on the world stage, it really makes you wonder, does the same rule apply to currencies?